We're going to start with the pledge here, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the record, those are the youngest voices we've had recite the pledge here at this meeting. So welcome, ladies. It's good to have you. What's your names? Olivia and Aviana. All right, I'm losing my hearing. Well, welcome, ladies. It's good to have you. If we could have roll call, please.
Do you have to read the statement at the top?
Doug Spencer,
Present.
Jolie Kovach. Here. Randy Niemeyer,
Present.
Denny Wilkening is absent. Brian Smith is absent. Robert Carnahan,
Here,
Bob,
here.
Mr. Carnahan?
Bob, can you hear us?
Is he showing on the screen?
Hello,
Bob, you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Yep,
can
we
hear
got
you
you.
now.
No.
Jill Murrah,
And don't you have to read the statement at the top of the agenda?
We'll get there.
David
Okay.
Austin. Jennifer Sandberg is absent, and myself, I am present.
All right, thanks, Sarah. All right, thanks, Bob, for the reminder. This is Cedar Lake Redevelopment Commission Public Meeting Agenda, September 21, 2020. We commenced at 6 o'clock in accordance with the governor's executive order related to COVID-19. We have arranged a live stream of tonight's meeting at https://cedarlakein.org/view-town-meetings/ You must join the meeting for the link to participate during public comment. If you have a question or comment about an item on the agenda, please email Town Administrator Jill.Murr, M-U-R-R, @cedarlakein.org by 4 p.m. Mrs. Murr will ensure that all submissions are shared and submissions entered into the minutes of the meeting. Please keep your comments civil and constructive to the public policy issues before us. All right. Do we have Tina here?
I talked to them and they said they were coming, so I don't know if they're a little
right.
late or
We'll
just
hold,
defer to the end of the
we'll
meeting.
defer until they get here. Very good.
I wore my shirt representing too, so
You know, we could just have you step in, Randy.
no,
All right.
I'd be a bad representative of the business.
If your figure is what happens when you go there, I'm going to sign up.
I'm still too fat.
All right, consent agenda. Look for a motion to approve August 17, 2020 meeting minutes, as well as claims fund 404 in the amount of $1,271.06. Fund 804 in the amount of $7,926.12. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion is made by Eric. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, second is made by Doug. Discussion. I see here we have a facade reimbursement to Kubel Rentals, in the amount of $6,800. Good to see those dollars going out the door. Everything else in good order, Jill?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Hearing none, we'll call roll call. Can you please do that, Sarah?
Jolie Kovach. Yes. Doug Spencer,
Yes.
Eric Burnham,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer,
Yes.
Nathan Biss.
Yes. All right, 5-0 for the record. All right, new business, as we typically have done since our last July meeting, we are looking for a recommendation for a monthly Explore Everyday Community recognition. Does anyone on the commission have a suggestion for the month of September? For the record here, I've received a recognition nomination for Richard Henn of Henn & Sons Construction. Reason for nomination, they have written here, Henn Construction has made numerous contributions and improvements to this town, most recently the beautiful restoration of the King Building in Lincoln Plaza.
I'd like to make a motion for Henn Construction for our October, is that correct?
That would be, is that October or September?
September.
September.
September? Okay.
All right, so motion is made by Jolie to nominate Henn & Sons Construction. Is there a second?
Second.
Second is made by Randy. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Jolie Kovach.
Yes.
Doug Spencer,
Yes.
Eric Burnham,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer,
Yes.
Nathan Biss.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
could I make a little point about our Explore Everyday recognitions?
Yes.
So starting this program has been, I think, very good. I think there's an opportunity in it too. The opportunity is to take it a step further. We have here in town, just for an example, a professional marketing firm, Safari Marketing. Just for an example, we don't have to use them, but my idea is to add to this Explore Everyday Award, like a 10-minute professionally done video that we could post on our town website, also put up on the Raucous Cedar Lake page.
Which one?
The one where everybody kind of hates everything, but at least it's in front of 10,000 people, as a way to enhance our marketing efforts of this award. I mean, this was part of our branding effort, was that Explore Every Day. And I think there's an opportunity to take it to the next level, to do a 5 or 10-minute bio piece on the businesses so people know who the people are behind the business, a little bit of the story, the history. I think those sorts of things help local businesses to be able to reach their audience, to say, this is a type of business and the type of people that I really want to support. Cedar Lake, if you look at how we're developing from a commercial standpoint, we're not a big box town. Cherville and Maryville and Hobart have kind of taken that, and that's fine. But you look at the successful communities like Valparaiso and Crown Point, and what we want to see here in Cedar Lake is more of that entrepreneurial, mom and pop style businesses. And if we can help tell their stories through this recognition, this could be a big boost to our local businesses and anyone who wants to invest in this community, to say to the entrepreneurs and the people out there looking for a place to locate, say, this community really buys in to their local businesses. So I'd like to work on getting a proposal together, just so people have an idea, maybe next month, of what it would take to do something like this. And that way we could kind of throw around some ideas, see if this is something that the Redevelopment Commission would like to support. I just think there's a great opportunity right now with the commercial development we're starting to see, to really switch it into the next gear and do something that really shows our business community how much their tax dollars are being used to support them. So just a suggestion, and if it would please the chair, I would work on that over the next 30 days and get together kind of an outline of expanding that program a little bit.
Commission members?
Marketing? Like any marketing, just for an example, hire a professional firm to do short, professionally done video, where they can interview the founders or owners or proprietors of a business and be able to really tell their story. And then we can help put it out there on our website, get it over to the Cedar Lake Chamber, spread it around to various social media. And that way there's an opportunity, kind of a platform for us to help people build their businesses here.
Anyone else? Commission?
I like that idea a lot.
Just as
I think it's.
just another
Is the
step.
company that you were talking about, the marketing company, are they capable of doing that? The
Oh,
company-
yeah. But they're not the only ones. That was just using as an example. They're here in Cedar Lake. And that's probably who I would reach out to out of familiarity, just to get an idea of what it might take. And if the commission wants to look for other people to kind of create some competition, that's fine too. But it's just a matter of, let's get an outline of a program and see if we can just take this a little step further. I don't think we have to spend tons more money on it, but an investment, a little bit of a bigger investment could go a long ways with this program that we've started.
I think that's an exciting idea, Randy. And I think maybe in the first place to start is to say, what would you suggest is a good promotional use of video? How long is it? What's the cost? I'll remind the commission that we're saving about $700 every month by not doing the newsletter out to the community every month. So we've got some dollars there that we can reallocate, so to speak.
Right, and that's kind of along the lines of thinking, looking at something in a reasonable manner. People's attention spans aren't that long, so something between 5 and 10 minutes is about the limit I think that you're going to get out of people. But if it helps to plant their roots in our community and get more community buy-in, then it's worth every dollar.
Good.
So for, there's 15,185 people on the Cedar Lake. So for that, you know, a lot of times now, I like the interview idea, but a lot of things that we'll capture is, and I looked on Jack's page too, and it says that he does the video type of advertising. So if you know now how they do clips and maybe not 5 or 10 minutes, but it would be like a little interview with them, but then it's like a little caption, like when they're here, I can visualize, like the family says, this is where we came from, and this is what we did. And then a picture of customers in there, and then kind of like a drop
Absolutely.
down of the actual location.
We're thinking on the same page.
So that's more than just a 5 minute. I didn't know, because you said an interview. So
Well,
I-
right, it was just very general and broad, but that's
Right.
kind of what I'm thinking is a professionally done quick story, right? That's pictures, that's words, that's like interaction.
Mhm.
It creates kind of a living advertisement for people to,
And the good thing about it also is, for instance, they can then share that even to their own page, and we're kind of, you know, nurturing that for them, because like a lot of businesses do that sometimes on their own, kind of like the snapshot of like the market here. And so, yeah, I think, and realtors do it now in a different sort of way that way. So I think that's a really great idea, and I'm supportive of that.
thank you.
Thank you for doing it.
I'll get to work on that and get an outline of a program, and then we can kick around some ideas, see how we want to implement it.
Perfect. Thank you, Randy.
Thank
It's a
you.
great idea.
Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to move along on our agenda. Next, we have two new petitions underneath the facade grant application. At this point, I'm going to hand the chair over to our vice president, that is Mr. Eric Burnham, as I could be viewed as having a conflict due to my friendship and business relationship with the petitioner. So with that said, I'm going to invite Mr. Lindemulder, if you want to come forward, and Mr. Burnham, the chair is yours.
So we're gonna talk, for fiscal grant for 20-12 Lutimer Midway LLC 13050 Wicker Avenue. So you just simply give us a brief description of what you plan on doing,
A lot of it is,
or is this already done?
no, nothing's done.
Eric, can you state your name and address for the record?
Eric Lindemulder,
Thank you.
the address of this property, 13050 Wicker Ave. Did you get a picture?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
All right, great.
So I would just start from the top.
Yep, so nothing's been done to it. Basically been looking for the right, I've gotten tons of calls on it, but looking for the right business to occupy it. That's gonna be a different type of tenant than what was in there last time. I want something that's gonna be good for the town and good for just growth and clean, good for next to Frank's, but nothing has really come, and a lot of it is, it just needs to be, look a little better so that people don't freak out just by seeing the building. It's a good, solid building, but yeah, looking for some help and motivation to do something to the exterior. And all that stuff may not be done immediately. Like I'll do some of it to clean it up to attract someone, and then I'll get more phone calls, and then I'll use the rest of it depending on what they're looking to do. So I can, like, example, the sign, it would be with their information on it. So I'm throwing the sign in there, but I'm not gonna just put up a sign right away till I know who the occupant would be. So I think in there it says, like, I think you guys give 180 days. I mean, I'll probably, depending on how quick someone shows interest, I would ask for an extension if needed. But I'm just basically looking for,
And the total cost of the project is 70,000.
give or take. I mean, it's just looking at if we replace all the windows, if we fix the roof, if we pressure wash and paint everything. You have the parking lot, then you got, I don't even think I put striping in there. Cleaning up the fence, a new sign. There's the back garage needs some love, new siding, possibly a new roof, gutters. There's a lot of things that could be done there, but I'm not sure how this process goes fully either. I mean, I'd assume that I show, like, we agree on something, and I show receipts, or I show that I did the work according to what I agreed to do. But I can even give you more specific details so you know exactly what it's gonna look like and what my.
So this is the building next to Frank's?
Yep.
Okay.
So the goal is for someone that works well with friends too, because there's a street between them. I'm not looking for someone that has high foot traffic. I prefer a professional office or a retail something, or even a small restaurant or food or ice cream, or I'm just making stuff up, that goes well with Frank's, but also just is professional and clean and have another spot for people in Cedar Lake to go to.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time we've had in front of us a proposal of a facade grant on a building that's currently not occupied.
You're right. You're correct.
So this is kind of unique for us because there's really no business to attach the request to.
Right. So that's where I kind of bring up is I do some things to make it attractive, but then I try to go for an extension. So I use this as an attraction to someone who says, hey, I want to do this to the exterior. I want to put up a sign. I said, well, I've already got it pre-approved for some funds to help you if you go in here. So they don't just think that they're going to pay all this out of pocket as tenant improvements. I'm looking for ways to help people that maybe don't even know how to or want to apply for something that they could get funds for.
And also, I believe that previous proposals that we've had in front of us have had some actual project estimates as well. I.e. contacted a contractor, we've got an estimate of specifically what is going to be invested in on the facade grant.
So I did throw in a bunch of estimates over the last year or so that I've gotten from people, and also that everyone's busy right now. So I called up a few guys too, and I wrote in a few there of what their estimate or ballpark would be. But it's all depends on what we plan on doing with it and who the tenant's going to be, as to how much it's going to be. For example, sign. The style of the sign will depend drastically on how much the sign costs.
Do you think it would be a better proposal once you kind of have a tenant? It's like, what's the chicken and the egg here? You know, it's kind of it's a hard thing to determine. I get where you're coming from, is you want to.
So that's
beef
what
it up for
I've waited for
attractive.
the last basically year, but it's almost too much for someone to even look past. Some people don't have the remodel idea. So if so, like half of it we approve, or let me say, all right, I'm going to go ahead with half. I'm going to redo the windows. I'm going to paint it. I'm going to do this and that. But once I get someone then interested, because then they can see past this is too much for a project for me. Then I get someone interested. All right, now I've got a sign grant that can pay for half your sign. And then it's an incentive for someone. Otherwise, it's still up in the air. There's nothing approved. They have no idea otherwise it's just going to keep sitting there.
So are you looking for this grant contingent upon finding an occupant, or is part of it going to be invested up front and part of it kind of, for lack of a better term, left in escrow, so to speak, to be invested once a tenant is located? This is just a very unique request.
No, yeah. I'm open to a discussion. I'm open to whatever. Like, there's an opportunity here for the building or for 41 to look better. I mean, this is a building that needs to look better. That will help. Yeah, but a business hasn't come along yet. That's other than I've got a lot of contractors or more machine shop or guys that craft's gonna be all over the place again, and I don't want that. But I also don't want to sink a ton of money into it, and then I find someone else that wants to do something different with the property, and then they tear it all. So like, it's kind of like you said, where do you start and where do you stop? So do we pre-approve it? And I say, all right, I'm going to paint it. I'm going to put in some new windows and a door and make it look attractive, but we're not going to do all the other stuff till you get knocked it. I mean, I'm open to options.
What is the nature of the relationship between you and Nathan as far as business goes?
We went to college and used him for different lawyers. So.
Okay, so there is a professional relationship. I just want to make sure we were clear on the record. of that relationship. So when Nathan asks for recusal, we can make sure we're transparent with that.
No, definitely.
Cedar Lake does not desire to be in the headlines of the Times in a very negative fashion, so.
I like to do everything on the up and up, so,
Okay, good.
yeah.
So do we.
Right on.
That's why I'm asking you questions right now too, is to try and figure this out so we have the right approach to this and we can connect it to our policy because Nathan, if you would input a little bit about our policy, does it allow for some of this flexibility of something that is not quite concrete yet as it relates to an actual business location? It's a commercial building with no occupant. So how does our policy analyze that?
Yeah, so I would say generally, from a general perspective, our policy allows for either the tenant to apply with the landlord's blessing that the changes that they're going to make have the landlord's permission, or for the landlord to apply for the ability to make changes to the premises. As to this specific request, yes, it is the first one where we are receiving one that is vacant. I would think there's room enough in what we provided that says the whole intent is to build up the facade of buildings and improve their look. A, improve the nature of the area, improve our tax base, and C, I don't see any inhibition in saying we'd be willing to set aside X amount for facade, parking lot, windows, and X, and you have 180 days to use it. And if not, and you want to come back to us, like you told others, and try to come back to us for another period of time, which is what we did with CPA.
So I'm going to play on the devil's advocate side of this a little bit. What would prevent Mr. Lindemulder from having the support of the town help to fix up the building, and then he puts it on the market for sale? So now the taxpayers have made a more marketable building for sale.
I mean, you could have a prohibition in there, and actually that is, I don't have it in front of me, but there is a portion written into our facade grant back when I drafted it that says we would have the ability to claw back, so to speak, and request recoupment if that were to occur.
Okay,
For what we've invested into it.
all right. I'm thinking through the process.
I have no plans to sell it. That helps.
I understand, but
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes plans
What things
change.
happen, you improve the building, somebody likes it, they come by and offer you more than you think, and then all of a sudden,
An
You sold your
improvement is an
building.
improvement regardless.
But it's, right.
It's an improvement.
It's still.
So I had a few questions.
Yep.
So obviously the picture of the exterior, I can see what you're talking about. What would it entail for someone to do the interior? Is it so bad? Because exterior wise, it's pretty bad. So what's the
It's
interior?
really
Is it gonna?
not awful.
Okay,
like,
it just
Even
from
the
this picture,
exterior,
it
it
looks rough.
scares people because it needs a good paint job, probably a little bit of tuck pointing. It needs some new windows.
Need some general cleanup.
Does it have
Needs
central air?
general cleanup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It does, okay, because there's a window unit on the side and people probably would look for that.
I think it used to. There's no
Okay.
unit on it.
Okay,
So that's right. So
And
there's a
then-
lot of stuff on the inside that it was a lawnmower shop basically.
Yeah.
So there's grease and it just needs paint, it needs a lot of cleanup, it needs new flooring.
exterior wise,
Yep.
but interior, and I sort of agree with the point of if I were opening a business, I would probably, if I were to just throw caution to the wind and say yes, from my perspective, my yes would be primarily about the windows and the painting and the paving, because if I were opening a business, I would want to make it whatever drawing card that particular business was. And since we don't know if they're going to want purple penguins, or, you know what I'm saying, what their goals are, or if it's just going to be another lawnmower guy and he's gonna, I don't know, I
Be a
don't care.
lawnmower guy with purple things.
That would be my husband.
Yeah.
So, and then what businesses have you had inquire like over the last year in general? Like what, if you were like, ooh, I could see this going there, what would that be?
I've had an ice cream place. I've had a bunch of lawnmower repair places. I've had a used car, antique car, contractor storage, plumber. just a lot of tire kickers. People are just calling to talk and they want to start a business. A lot of different small businesses, photographer, roofing company. There's been a lot. It's just, I've been able to make a lot of connections through it and point them in the right direction and say, hey, this isn't what you're looking for. You're looking for a warehouse. You're looking for this, that, this isn't. And I'll tell them all, I need someone clean. I don't want stuff all over the park. Like, that's not the reason I have this. I wanted to improve Cedar Lake, look cleaner. And I think it's a big deterrent. It's more than people, like, they're biting off more than they can chew is their fear if they sign a lease and then they have to repair it all and do all the stuff. And a lot of them are like, oh, well, I don't know if I'll get approved for the facade grant. Because I'll bring that up to them over last year. But just, it's yeah, they can't wrap their head around it unless I've got something concrete to say, hey, here's what you can do. And I don't want to start doing stuff until I know it's proved. And then I find someone, say, all right, I'll do X, Y, Z. I'll pay for these things. You pay for these things. And here, the town is also helping to get a good, solid business. I mean, we can put any rules that you guys want on it. It's just.
And we'll probably have to look at contingencies, Eric, just because what we don't want is this facade grant program to be a business startup program. And what I mean by that is that if somebody comes to town and says, I'm going to build a business and the town's going to help me build it, that becomes an economic development agreement, not a facade grant.
But I don't think we're helping them start it. I think we're improving the building. So even if they leave, the building is still, the facade is still better for the next business to come in.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if it does start a new business, that's great, as long as they're good.
I'm just looking at the precedent and the nature of the program is to try and focus on improvement of existing buildings.
So if the building, if everything I bring before you guys and it sounds good and it is going to improve the building and it occupies for this kind of source of target, they then don't get enough business out of it, like a lot of business, but the building now looks better for the next CPA or the next whoever that.
Yeah, I mean, those are valid points.
Yep.
Want to make
You're
sure
the
we don't
owner of
start
the
a
building.
precedent.
So I look at it a different way. He's the owner of the building. He's trying to improve his building so he can.
I get it.
I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it. I know he's renting out to a business, but he's trying to improve the building of it that he owns.
Just want to make sure we're not starting a precedent where we become kind of the go-to for startup of, hey, I got this old dilapidated property I want to clean up. Well, some of it is on the person who invests to clean it up to start with. So.
Well, that's why you guys aren't paying 100%. It's still on.
Right.
It's still on the business.
Right.
If that's the way we can clean up buildings, I think that's great. That's the point of this.
Well, there's a difference between cleanup of blight and facade improvements. That's kind of the delineation there. One of them is blight that you're describing. One of them is blight, like run down, like vacant, abandoned, dirty, trash,
Now, if
garbage,
it's a
junk.
building that should be torn down, that's one.
Well, the
then we
Redevelopment
shouldn't.
Commission has in its statute the ability to clean up blight, but that's not this program.
No, right. And this one is not
No.
a tear down. I mean, yeah, unless someone came in and wanted to tear it down, I don't know how that works. If they want to build a brand new building on the property, is that something that the facade grant ever goes towards?
Not this particular program. No, this is just for building facades. So the type of exterior improvements that you've listed here are all qualifying. I'm just trying to get.
I agree with what you're saying, Randy.
No, I agree too. I don't want these funds to be wasted
Mhm.
on a property that shouldn't be fixed up, that
Right.
should be torn down. I
Right.
agree fully. And that happens way too many times in towns and even in Cedar Lake, more so on the residential side, that houses that should be torn down are fixed up because they're bought for $5,000 and they can quick flip it and make 20 grand. It's like, no, that should have been torn down. But I don't think that's the case with this.
And I'm not saying your building should be
Yeah,
torn down.
I
by
know,
any
I'm
means.
just,
No,
hey, I'm an
no.
open book. I'd rather you say, yeah, what you think.
But now Eric is the owner, so he is also the
Mhm.
taxpayer of this property.
That's what I'm saying.
And on the other hand, it is also as we drive into our town, it is right there. Going anything past a exterior cleanup and
Windows.
that look, windows and what have you. I don't know if you you want to change the mansard roof on there or anything like that.
Yeah, it's looking like everything's exterior that's listed here.
Yeah, we're not doing anything in there. We never were.
Right, and nothing else interior was actually,
I did not list anything interior.
Okay.
That would be, I mean, then that's between me and the occupant.
and then the
to
new
say,
occupant, you can say, hey, listen, this is what I've done. And the town has of course, we do a facade, not an interior.
Oh, totally.
Grant,
And
right.
I've explained that fully to everyone. That's a facade, grant. That's where the occupant I see mostly for, like if I held off on painting it, what color would they want? But I pretty much know what I want it to look like, so I probably would let them paint it purple if they wanted to paint purple. Sorry.
No, I was, if it was.
No offense if
so-
you wanted purple.
So if you're thinking of the interior though,
I'm
okay?
not-
No,
I'm not
I'm going back to your investment, your property. Because you can put lipstick on a pig or purple lipstick on a pig. I'm saying that the exterior would be beautified, but when was the last time something was done? Would it run into issues where you get a tenant and then you're like, oh my gosh, there's lead paint, I got 10,000 over here, 20 over here, I got this. That's what concerns me is that what kind of business will go there? Because I am not against you as the business owner coming before us or helping you in that regard. I'm just saying, let's be sure, because if you have someone who's interested, that would be, they could believe you if you brought them here and gave your proposal with them
Sure.
too.
So it is block building, and so it's solid. On the inside, right, someone does need to remodel and clean it up. It'll probably need a new furnace. It should, I mean, it's got a sink in the toilet, everything's functioning, but those things probably should be really cleaned up or replaced. I mean, it's just kind of greasy, dirty everywhere. So there is a lot that someone should do, depending on what they want to do inside. But if I just did rent it to it, I've had a few contractors like, I don't want to do anything on the inside. But I was like, well, I want you to do some stuff to the inside, because if you don't care about it, then obviously you're not going to do anything to the outside. So I also want to start this process that kind of forces the tenant to clean up the outside. And we don't have,
Jill, when an applicant gets a grant, typically, how do they go about receiving the funds? They turn in receipts for the actual
Receipts.
work?
Yes,
Okay, so they do the work first, turn in receipts, we reimburse the grant award amount, correct?
correct.
Okay,
After it's all been checked off by the building department, provided it needed final completion
Good.
inspections. And anything that would need any plan commission or BZA approval is outside of the grant.
gotcha. Okay, I mean, this was a building that was occupied in our town before by business.
Correct.
And so it's not like it's a brand new building or a new business site.
Right.
Request is based on a $70,000 project. Doug, have you done the math?
That's the thing. No, I have not.
Okay,
I count what 15%.
we've
It's
been doing 20, right?
$10,500.
We've been doing 20.
They have been doing 20.
Yeah.
So you're 14,000.
it doesn't say in your 50% for some things, 75% for some things.
We've been doing 20 across the board to start this year. It's the first year of our program, and we've been kind of conservative with how we've been administering the funds to make sure that we're getting the bang for the buck as far as the improvements. So far, if we look at overall amount of dollars that have been allocated compared to the amount of improvements were about a 5-to-1 ratio, which is a really good ratio where the private dollars are 5, the public dollars are 1, and that's a good ratio for the community. And that's what we've been awarding people up to this point, is that 20% number. And then, as Nathan wrote in that policy, there is a provision in there that if there are additional improvements, a person can come back for an additional grant. So the door is open, but I'm saying what we've started with has typically been the 20%.
So with next year, if this continues on, would you go up to the 50%? Because then I'd maybe even hold off until it makes it more economical to start the improvements to get the full 50% that is offered in this program.
I can't say each redevelopment commission member has a vote if you would ever get 50%.
I thought it only went to 25.
And in here it says, to receive a grant to reimburse 50% of the cost of construction of exterior building improvements and 75% of architectural fees, which I don't have any yet, but if I needed to.
Nathan, what's the
to
project
25 grand.
limit on this?
Yeah, it's up to $25,000 per year,
Right.
$30,000 in a 5-year period, and there's limitations for architecture and landscaping.
So that's in a calendar year, $25,000, and that's not to exceed 50% of a project cost, correct? So if we did the 20%, that'd be 14,000 right now, which would leave you a little wiggle room in there too. And leave the commission a little wiggle room too, because you have another grant application in front of us. How much have we spent so far out of the budget, Jill?
We have spent $68,246.50.
Right,
So-
so if we gave you the 50%, we would be over our $100,000 budget. We would have $0 left for your next request.
So I'd probably hold off on this one and wait till next year if that was better. But there's no guarantees. I get it. But I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do this.
Or if you wanted to go forward with this one, and if the commission was happy with 20%, it's a shot in it. Okay, it's an investment in it. It gets you started, starts to beef it up, and then a year from now you come back and we look at the next step.
And
know.
you're with your tenant next year, and that'll be
Yeah.
No,
incentive for
right.
us.
So is there a way that, but it would be, the extra would be, so 20% of whatever I do, or you're saying next year you could get up to the 50% for the stuff that you already did.
So it's
also.
September right now, 12 months from now would be a year from now. So then you would be, the slate would be wiped clean again. But within that 12 months, you still have another 11,000 of wiggle room if the commission went with 20% to add an additional 11,000 to it. Is that correct, Nathan?
So what we said to a prior applicant, meaning I think I'm going to butcher the last name, CPA, we told him that he could come back to us later in the year based on the same original petition to ask for more if there were still.
Up to that 25,000
Up to
limit.
that 25,000.
So that would leave Eric with a balance of 11,000 that he could still request. But our budget year is going to flip over in January, and we're going to have another 100,000 in our pot to work with.
That's discussion for later in the meeting, but potentially, yes, if that's what the commission wants.
Right. Just based on this year's budget numbers, if we went with that next year. But if we went with 50% of this request, it would put us at about 103 grand spent out of a $100,000 budget, which we couldn't do anyways.
And is that 25 grand the max per applicant or per location?
Location.
Location.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd be willing to make a motion on the $70,000 project estimate after reviewing the estimates from contractors. 20%, that'd be 14,000.
I'll second that.
Ask for a roll call then.
Yes, sir.
Sarah?
Julie Kovach.
Yes.
Doug Spencer.
Yes.
Eric Burnham.
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes.
Commission, just for clarity for the record, can we confirm that the $70,000 or the 14,000, the 20% is only for these project descriptions described in number 3 of the exterior facelift being paint, new windows and doors?
I concur with that. You concur?
Yes, we can amend it to being sure that it's what's specified with the windows and exterior paint, and there's paving also in there, right?
Correct. There's
Okay.
a new sign and asphalt repair or replace.
Okay, yeah.
So I would amend my motion to include the project description, the exterior items as listed on the record in the packet. Is that sufficient, Jill?
That will work.
All right.
I'll second.
Do we need to roll?
Yeah, do
call
another
again,
roll
please,
call.
Sarah?
Julie Kovach.
Yes.
Doug Spencer.
Yes.
Eric Burnham.
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes.
If there are extra things that come up, or if, say like, it's not fully used, I just have to come back. Okay, so it's like, it's approved, but if there's extra things, I can add those and then it'd be the 20%.
Yeah, within the 12 months, I mean, we can go up to 25 total. So that's our,
We can keep going.
yep.
All right.
Now, does he understand he's got to spend this money in order to get the 14,000?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we
Very
talked
good.
about that, Bob. Jill, I asked Jill that question, so it was on the record that he's got to invest and then we reimburse.
Okay,
Okay?
I heard that, but I wanted to clarify that.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, moving on to fiscal grant application 20-13, Legacy Insurance Group, 12634 Wicker Avenue. This is another property. Eric, you want to get a brief description of what you want to do on this one?
Eric Lindemulder, 12634 Wicker Avenue. And this is, I mean, I should have applied sooner. I've already done a lot of improvements, more so than, yeah.
It's a really nice building.
So yeah, I hope that, yeah,
It's
I
a
put
really nice building.
more money into it than most would think. But I'm hoping that this also helps start a trend and everyone keeps improving 41. We want to put quality, good buildings up with quality finishes and just, yeah, do things right. And that's kind of where I don't, like the last one we were just talking about, I don't want to just compromise and put someone in there that I don't want in there long-term and then it looks bad. So that's
You
what
already
I'm
have
doing.
this one rented, right?
What's that?
Is this building rented?
Yeah, so I'm in the center unit. So that's what I'm an insurance agent. So I'm in the center unit and there's a physical therapist that's in the south unit. And then the north unit, I have a few people interested, but until some of these other things are completed, and the physical therapist was fully in, now I'll be focusing on the north unit too. So a lot of these things that I have in there are the final touches. Finishing out the garbage corral, the front sign, the signs on the building, the landscaping. I threw in there, I don't know if you guys got the flagpole one. And just to do things quality, but stand out and just give a mark.
I do like the flagpole. And seeing that American flag flying in more places is a good thing right now.
And you'll see the price point on it, and it could even be more, but one of my insurance companies spent over $1 million, and this is crazy, but they spent over $1 million on a flagpole. And it's more so to show appreciation for all our vets, there's a lot that goes into it. But if we have a huge flagpole, it draws attention, but also to light it up, just, I don't know. I think it's a good touch. Also to Cedar Lake,
It's good. It's okay to be a patriot.
Yeah, I know, it's
Really
you
is.
sometimes
It's
are
good
afraid
to love
be a
our country,
patriot. I know, right?
And James Auto just put a huge flag in front of their dealership.
Right on. Yeah, they're doing, yeah. I saw that too.
And you're upset that they beat you to it, huh?
No, hey, I'll
okay, we
measure
can
and
put
see how
another
tall
one.
it is and we'll make sure it's taller.
This project took a long time to develop, a long time, but it
There's a
was,
lot that goes into it that people don't understand either. How much parking lot building was on one parcel for all the drainage. That's why I had to do pavers, because all the drainage has to be kept on the property. But yeah, it's been a process.
your parking lot is all pavers.
All pervious brick pavers with a whole underground detention system that maintains all the water and slowly releases it into the front ditch.
And your neighbor in the back did all that, put that in for you. That's a big
More or less.
company there.
So you have a total project cost in this one of 125,000, give or take. Obviously, with that last approval, we have spent now, did you say we're at 68.5 before this last approval?
Correct.
So with 14,000 is 82.5, we've got 17.5 left in the budget. And then that 100,000 is gone. So we have no more money than that,
And what was the number 17 what?
17.5.
So that's where I would rather revoke my other one, if that's going to be a limitation to this one. I'd revoke my other one to focus more on this one, and then first of the year, I'd come back for that other building.
So you would rather the Midway building just wipe out that application?
So then the funds are available for this one. And then I'd start up in January. Right away, I'd come back to you guys unless we pre-approve it for January, pending you guys approve another amount.
Max you could have for this project is 25.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, and that 20% would put them at 25,000 on the 125 project. So, I mean, if that's what he wants to do, I'd be happy with, I mean, I'm actually more comfortable with that too, that you have tenants in that building there.
And he's one of them.
Right. So you're one of, I mean, so I'd be willing to make a motion to withdraw the approval of the first application for 13, what was that address? 13050?
Yeah, 13050 Wicker Avenue.
Yeah, so I would withdraw my motion to approve that and actually make that a motion to defer. And
Come back and do it
and you would need to withdraw your request and put in a new one.
formally.
Yep.
I can do that.
Okay. So I make that motion to withdraw approval of the first request of 13.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that one.
3050. Which
I'd like to see that get finished on that.
Randy makes the motion, Doug does the second.
Yeah.
Do we have to do a call for that?
yeah, roll call. Yeah.
Jolie Kovach.
Yes.
Doug Spencer.
Yes.
Eric Burnham.
Yes.
Randy Neimeyer.
Yes. And so with that, I would, looking at this request, we have masonry, garbage enclosure, riprap, benches, and pots. Total estimate of 125,000. 20% of that is 25,000. That takes us to what, 93.5 of our 100,000 spent?
Is the flag in the 125?
Yes. Is it?
No,
No?
because I added that
Separate?
afterwards, but we'll
No,
already
you're-
be capped out.
You're
at
already
25
maxed out.
grand,
You're
so
already maxed out.
if nothing else, if I don't do the flag right away, I can come back and, well, no, is it calendar year or is it a full 12 months? So
12
I'd have to
months.
come back in 12 months,
Yeah.
and then if I have a last piece, maybe I'd do the flag then.
Okay, I'll second the.
I make a motion for 20%, 25,000 of this second project at, let me get the address right, 12634 Wicker, Cedar Lake.
Now second, the 25,000.
So Randy makes the motion, Julie seconds. Eric, may I have a roll call on that?
Jolie Kovach.
Yes.
Doug Spencer.
Yes.
Eric Burnham.
Yes.
Randy Neimeyer.
Yes.
Any more questions on that?
Thanks. Hey, Eric, thank you.
Yeah,
Uh,
Thanks for
Appreciate
your
you
time,
bringing
guys.
that stuff and answering our questions.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks. No, appreciate it.
I'd like to give back to Nathan.
All right, very
Mr.
good.
Chairman, gentleman from Grit Fitness is here.
Come on forward, sir.
I'm gonna warn you, don't ever work out with him.
Why's that?
He'll kill you.
Can't keep up with them? Ouch.
Thanks for having me. Oh, I can keep up.
All right, well, share, what's your name, sir?
Bode Polly.
Bode? All right, well, hey, welcome. We appreciate it. My understanding, you one of the owners of Grit Fitness?
I
All right, well, welcome. Thank you very much for investing in Cedar Lake. Mr. Niemeyer has spoken highly of you and your group.
Thank you.
One of the things we started back in last July is to say thank you to those business owners that have decided to take the plunge and invest here in Cedar Lake, whether recently or have for a long time. So on behalf of our commission, I want to extend our appreciation to you and your team for your ongoing efforts. I know it probably wasn't easy, especially the last couple of months with COVID. So kudos, keeping the doors open and the lights on and continuing to service both our residents and residents nearby. So one of the things we like to do is hand an award to you that you can promote within the premises. We'll also take a picture that we can promote your business online, but we also want to give you an opportunity just to share a bit about what got you guys started here and kind of where you want to take the business moving forward.
Great, thanks very much. So I've actually been there for 6 years now, this month. Originally, I was a World Gym franchisee, and then I disbanded from World Gym and created my own brand called Grit. And we actually closed the last 2 weeks of December in 2019, did a complete revamp of the space, brought in all new equipment, completely changed the brand of the space and whatnot. We reopened January 1. We were open for 2 months and then had to close because of COVID. So we were closed for about 10 weeks and we reopened when the governor allowed us to open gyms back up. But it's been a slow start back, but you know, we've got a great community here, and so we're happy to be open. So
Absolutely.
we provide everything from a regular gym to group classes such as yoga, Zumba, Pilates, stuff like that. We also do personal training and small group training. Small group training is kind of like come in, you're in and out in like 45, 50 minutes, burn a lot of calories. It's great for the people that have a tight schedule. We have coaches that run that, and usually those classes are about 8 to 12 people, somewhere in there.
You have childcare too, right?
We have childcare and tanning. Thank you. You just start selling for me.
I got your
He's
back.
got your shirt on. He's I wore the shirt.
I know.
Just plugging your out right off the- probably my fucking
I rushed
door.
over here from because I have a location in Cherville too, and I had to rush over here because I was dealing with things over there.
We just send Randy over there. And he can handle it.
Yeah, exactly. I know. They'll take him 6'4" a lot more seriously than me.
This guy, he's done a great job here in our community, and the service that they provide at the gym, you know, the childcare is really inviting to parents. What's your price range too on your memberships?
We start at $14.99, and then our next tier is $24.99, and that's the one that includes childcare and FX. And then the last tier is $54.99, and that's where you get the unlimited small group training. So I would compare that to, if you're familiar with Orange Theory or F45, it's the same concept, but we're about a third of the price.
Okay. And I haven't participated in those classes because I don't want to be embarrassed. But there's a lot of sweat that goes on in those classes.
Yeah, they're
People
fun.
get a lot out of it.
So do you have like hay bales that you let Randy throw around, or?
I got tractor tires.
It's got big
Okay.
tires out there.
Yep.
You have an event here at the town grounds coming up this weekend, next week. Can you talk about that a little bit, Bo?
Yeah, so we're actually, our small group training is called Grit Labs. And so we're actually bringing our Grit Labs here to the grounds, and we're going to do a small group training here at the park and try and get people more exposure and more people involved in that.
Great idea.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, if there's any way that we as a RDC can be of assistance to you or your business, obviously just sat through our facade grant application program. If there's any way that we can help promote you, your business, the businesses that are located along that stretch, please don't hesitate to reach out. So congrats on 6 years, and we're looking
Thank
forward to having you around another
Thanks
6.
very much. Thanks for having me, guys.
And I want to say that there's an energy in Bo's gym that's pretty awesome. People there are all very helpful. There's people all the way from advanced level, big bodybuilders to beginners, but nobody's there to make fun of another person. There's no bullying that I've seen. Everybody's there to help each other. It's a terrific environment, and I would encourage anyone that if you want to give it a try, it's a good place to go. A lot of good, knowledgeable people, and it's a heck of a lot of fun. And I can say my son works out with me, and since he started lifting weights back in June, not only has his body changed, but so has his confidence. He's having his best year ever in school, and I attribute part of that to his understanding of his own physicality, the confidence he's getting through a consistent workout program. Those things are great for young people in building their mind as well as their body. So he was sharing with me some of his grades today, and they're better than they've ever been. So I'm hopeful that by him continuing this progress in the gym, that he can continue the progress academically.
That's the whole idea behind Grit. That's why I named it Grit.
Yep.
Just got to push through.
Yep.
How old
Very
is your son,
cool.
Randy?
He's 16.
We'd all take a picture with you, but that's changed in the last 6 months. But
Thank you very
Sarah,
much.
yeah, I think Sarah will take a picture if you don't mind stepping up front here, and she'll get a picture for the website, put on Facebook too. 15,000 person page. Thank you, sir. I'm going. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bo.
All right, we're going to move into 2 quick things. I know we were supposed to have a exec session starting at 6:45, so we'll try to keep it rolling here. It was alluded to earlier, we are nearing the end of our $100,000 that we set aside for facade grant for this year, which is awesome, great to see. The question has emerged as we look to budget 2021. Is this something that we also want to set aside in our budget for next year? And if so, what amount do we want to set aside?
Well, I'm just really thankful to you for putting that all together. I know you put a lot of time into it and the vision was there and now we've seen it be so fruitful. So I think based on what we've seen over the last year, I am happily to say we could do another 100,000.
Is there a second? Is that a motion?
I'll make the second. I agree with that amount too, though.
Okay.
I would not like to increase the amount this time.
There's been a motion, there's been a second. Is there discussion?
Yeah. My first year on the commission was 2009, and the people I sat with on the commission at that time, Pat Conlon and I actually had that conversation, a meeting about a facade grant, but we didn't have a lot of activity as far as financial to be able to support it. How the heck to get it started? And it took this group here to be kind of the vehicle to that. So my appreciation for making a vision that started a long time ago become reality. And I think that's important when we have the continuity of vision that no matter who's sitting in the seats, people are able to take the ball and run with it, because this isn't about the five of us sitting here. This is about future and going forward and leaving it better than we found it. So I appreciate all you guys working on this.
Along with that, it's been kind of exciting to see it happen because, Keith Kosowski, his place is really starting to look nice there. And the other chart is over there on our Brian Kubel, really did a nice job on bringing that property back up too.
Mhm.
So I think that that's the exciting part of what
There are
we're
good
doing.
things happening.
Absolutely. Let's do roll call.
Who made the motion?
Julie made the
Okay.
motion, I second it.
Jolie,
Yes.
Doug Spencer,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer,
Yes.
Eric Burnham,
Yes.
Nathan Biss.
Yes. All right, second item that I would like a motion for, if we approve it, is a letter of intent. This letter of intent would be between the Redevelopment Commission and our fellow entity, Lakeshore Bluff, to approve for procuring engineering services and architectural services. So I will entertain a motion to that effect to enter into that letter of intent that has been shared previously between all commission members.
So moved.
Their support?
I'll second that.
Mr. Chairman, question?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Austin, legal review.
I draft.
I just wanted on the record. That's all.
I'm on the record.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Be no question.
Jolie,
Who made the motion and seconded it?
I made the motion.
Doug seconded.
Who, Randy?
Yeah, I did, Bob. I'll speak louder.
Okay, he didn't say the name, so I tried to recognize the voices.
Jolie,
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Doug Spencer,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer,
Yes.
Eric Burnham,
Yes.
Nathan Biss.
Yes. All right, thank you. We can pass it down to Sarah. Sarah, can you get Jennifer to sign off on it and pass it along to Dave, please? Project updates, clerk treasurer funds report that's been previously shared by Jennifer. Jennifer has showcased how much we currently have in funds, how much we have moving forward. Is there any request from the commission that we have Jennifer attend our next meeting? If not, if you do have a couple of questions of her, based upon her schedule, she will not be in attendance unless we specifically request that she be here, but everything appears to be in good order. There's plenty of funds sitting there right now. Jill, anything to add when it comes to our existing budget? Funds
No, we'll
report?
add those funds in for next year's budget. We will give you a copy of next year's budget as it's being worked on right now.
Okay.
And keep you apprised. You'll have some updates with the RDA lease rental bond too.
Okay.
2013, because that's refinance.
Thanks. Dave, any hood loss damages update?
Excuse me, Nathan.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the last item, sir?
Which one? Lake Bluffs?
No, about
Clerk treasurer? Yeah.
She is the fiscal officer for this body. Is she not coming to these meetings anymore?
No, she has communicated to us that if we would like her to attend, we can request that she be here. Otherwise, she's been submitting items in writing.
No, I know that. Again, she's the fiscal officer for this body, so she's not going to be required to be at these meetings.
I haven't required her, no. It's up to the commission if you'd like her to be here or not.
It's my recommendation for treasurer to be at these meetings. There's money involved. She's the fiscal officer. All things go through her.
Mhm.
So.
What's the commission's pleasure?
Does it have to be Jill? Sarah, isn't her, is she her sister or? No?
Jennifer's clerk treasurer, so
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
that's separate.
All right.
But that's certainly your call. It's very clear who's responsible for your money and the taxpayers' money.
We are at the end of the day.
You know what I'm saying.
No, I get and appreciate that. And I
Just
think,
want to make sure what is not left untalked about or
no,
uncommented.
And I have great empathy for a working mom in these times. And that's been communicated to us. And so I would like to just say that I'd like to revisit it though at a later time when everyone's lives get a little bit closer to normal. But I do believe that I agree and I would like to revisit that conversation. But I wanted to express my empathy as a full-time working mom with a lot of responsibilities. It's she's excellent at communicating with us via email for the record too. So
I look at it like this, that if an elected official doesn't choose to fulfill their duties, they're up for election every 4 years. They'll have to face the voters. So if that's her choice, then she can explain that to the voters too.
all right, good. Like I said, if at any time we want her here, certainly communicate that to me and we'll make the request that she be here. If that's something we want her here every other month, we can certainly organize that as well. I'll move along to Hood Loss Damages update. Dave, any update there?
As I reported last month, there was hearing set for today. Pro-sup hearing in Route 4 in Gary, and it was continued on report of quarantine to the judgment defendant or his family using quarantine. It's been bumped to December by court order.
All right, Lakeshore Drive, Klein Avenue roundabout. Are we nearing the end with?
We are nearing the end. Council was presented with a closeout item on this, and we're working through those final details.
I was a pain in everybody's rear end and pointing out things that weren't done yet, so my bad.
That was a different way of saying what I said.
Is there any more funds that have to go to that?
No, there's just a couple items that revolve around the apartment building there and access to it, and maybe some construction stuff that was left in the ground. I just didn't want it to put a final stamp on a project when
That's
you
not
still have a
completed.
couple of things that need to be addressed.
Okay.
All right. D, E, F, and G, if I read that right, Lincoln Plaza signage, crosswalks, JMA Gateway, and hill stability. I think those are all items. If the commission's okay, we'll just defer to next time. There's no active action that we need to take on any of those. Is that correct, Jill?
That is correct. This was to keep them in front of you as we had said at a previous meeting.
Yep.
And look forward to these in a future project.
Commission, we okay with that?
Fine.
Okay. All right, move along to Morse Street RDC funding. Don, you have the floor. What do we have before us here, sir?
What you should have in your packet is a conceptual kind of site plan view of the corridor of Morris from 133rd Avenue to 45th Avenue, mile and a half stretch. Conceptual, in fact, providing spur throughout the entire corridor, providing sidewalk on the east side of the road, and also providing a water main extension from the terminal end at Holiday Liquors all the way down to the other side of the southern property. So the cost estimate on that was a pretty heavy contingency of 20%, is roughly 3.2 million. It's almost half between water infrastructure and basically roadway improvements for curb and sidewalk. Pretty as simple as that. It's a pretty big number. This also includes a main extension down 141st all the way to the corporate limit to eventually serve future development north of 141st and south of Lakeside. We've heard this coming sooner rather than later. So pretty substantial project. Some of the things to note on it are some of our right-of-way kind of constraints. On average, the corridor is roughly 40 feet wide for right-of-way. It expands out to 60 in some of the widest sections, primarily in the west edge. We're pretty tight on the east edge because we have it's actually kind of helped this where we relocated that whole line maybe like 18 months ago, pushed it out to the right-of-way extents. So we can fit a sidewalk in that corridor. It's a more flatter corridor than the western side of the road, and the water main would be on the west side of the road. Sanitary is at the east edge of the roadway right now. But it's a pretty substantial project. But necessary as well.
What's the timeline you're talking about on this project?
For design and construction?
Yeah.
If we wanted to get off the ground pretty quickly, we would wait for HIP to finish the next 2-3 weeks. Get corridor survey, probably take a month and a half. And we can get it designed over the winter.
We have a few moving parts to that on the water side.
Yeah.
Obviously, the supply, the IURC rate case that the council is involved in, the YMCA development. There's a lot of stuff there that before we would go to design, I would like to at least have an opportunity to work with the parties there at the YMCA to develop some sort of partnership with them on the water utility as well. Because we don't know yet what their capacity needs will be once their project's filled out. And so I like the idea of getting started on it right away, but I think we've got a lot of loose ends to tie up.
Yep, I agree. I mean, the water design part of it's pretty straightforward. We know it's going to be, if we keep the sidewalk on the east corridor, east side of the corridor, the water is definitely going to go on the west side, and we keep sanitary on the east side. So, I mean,
You don't want the two together? No.
We
Okay.
try not to do that. I mean, the actual layout of the water really isn't a huge part of the design. The big part of the design is sidewalk, ADA compliance, constructing a curb on an existing roadway that we're going to keep the same profile, tying into existing drainage outlets and whatnot. Those are the bigger ticket items, and we really can't take that any further without just getting surveying the corridor. We know the existing infrastructure that's out there now. We know where the outlets are, but we can't really design anything ADA compliant without pretty detailed survey. So the general layout you see here is pretty close, I think, where it would be. It may change in some respect when we get that survey, but due to the kind of constraints of the right of way and some of the corridors, you're kind of forced to do it in this way.
Okay.
It would be great if we could get sidewalk on both sides of the street. I just don't think that right of way, without acquiring right of way, that's possible. Right now, it's a 6-foot wide sidewalk, mainly because it's right adjacent to the curb line. We will have some.
Is there a way to make that a pedestrian lane rather than a sidewalk so you could have cyclists and other people be able to use it? Because the vision of the town has been for the last 40 years to eventually have a path all the way around the lake.
Yep.
And if it's just a sidewalk, that doesn't achieve that goal.
If you wanted to do a pedestrian path, you're looking at a minimum 10 feet for that, like they call 5 feet each way, stripes. I know planners get nervous about that when it's only on one side of the street, now for one on the other. We've actually had discussions with NERC and their planning staff about this corridor, and they voiced that concern. That is hugely a concern to me. The other issue too is that width. So from the back of that pavement to that pole line, it would be tight to get it in there.
You're a creative engineer, though. I know that you can make things fit, Don. I have a lot of confidence in you.
Well, and that goes back to the survey too. If we had surveyed that corridor, we'll have more dimensions to know exactly where we can maybe pinch in the roadway. The roadway is roughly 26 feet right now, back to back. We need to be safe, 12-foot lanes. So there's some discussions about pinching it in to get us more room on the edges. And if we can get, right now we have 6 feet, you likely can get more. I think minimum you want 8 foot, you want a pedestrian two-way path.
Some of my fellow council members are sitting here and one on Zoom. And I know that over the years that we've campaigned door to door, this is brought up all the time.
Yep.
We need a path around the lake. We got to be able to walk around the lake, and people are right. And so I would hate to see us just look at this as a sidewalk,
Yep.
rather than the opportunity that we have in front of us to create a recreation lane.
Let's put it this way, I don't want to promise more than I can deliver. So I know I can get 6 feet in there.
Stop being so nervous.
I'm not
So,
nervous.
hey, Don, question for you. If NERC has relayed their concerns on to you about the width, have we communicated back to them to say, hey, look, with your support and assistance, we can acquire more so that we can do this the way you want it?
So the problem with that is the width of utilities again. NIPSCO just moved that pole line 18 months ago. I don't think they're going to want to move it again. Those are big poles too. They're not some of the short guys. They invested a lot of money to pick it out. And if we acquired more right away, pick it out more, I think they would look for some pressure to do that. So this is why we have 60-foot required right of ways with new development in order to fit in utility infrastructure, sidewalks on both sides. You know, with wide enough parking, wide enough roads that parking on one side.
I just want to make sure we don't lose the opportunity, you know?
I agree. And,
So-
and the Lakeshore path is still kind of out there. The planning thing is going to be resubmitted as part of the 25-26 transportation infrastructure project.
And I believe we're going to have some development partners that'll help with that too in the very near future.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a narrow corridor as well. With how
The Founder's Creek Trails corridor connects to Lemon Lake. All of it connects to the Erie Lackawanna. I mean, all of that stuff can connect. We can connect it eventually down the Freedom Park in Lowell. We just got to start it somewhere. We got to put the first leg.
we will make that path as wide as we possibly can.
Good.
Without excessive cost and land acquisition and utility relocation.
So what action items do you need from us this evening on this, which is before us, if anything?
It depends on where you want to go. I mean, the first crack, we're going to move into design phase, but obviously get a survey of that corridor, essentially 1.5 miles. And then once we get that, then we can start design, you know, through the winter.
So I'm getting a look from Jill, but
Can we bring you back a quote for survey at your next meeting?
I think so. I don't think we need a motion. Randy, what are your thoughts? A motion
I don't think you need
to
a-
encourage Mr. Oliphant as much as possible to design and enable pedestrian walkway to
Well, I
occur
don't think
here?
we need to encourage it. It's been talked about at these meetings. It's been talked about at council meetings. That's the direction and the tenor of the conversation of the elected and appointed bodies. I would think that's the direction we need to look at until our engineer says, hey, you guys are crazy. We're going to have to buy 6 houses. Right? But if we can find a way, we need to find a way.
Okay.
And then next step is to get detailed survey so we can answer that question. Right now, this is a concept drawing based off an aerial. And we obviously know the corridor really well, but we need dimensions, you know, and going out there measuring it ourselves is, you know, not the way to do it. So if we can get survey of the corridor, we can better answer some of these questions.
Well, good. Well, thank you for your ongoing work, Don. We greatly appreciate it. I know that the town council greatly appreciates it. We're in good hands with you. So thank you to you and your firm, and we'll look forward to getting word back from you and Jill moving forward. Thanks.
Don, do you need official direction of the RDC on that survey?
We'll put together, we'll get the contract for that design.
Okay.
We can act on it.
Yeah, once you get an action item for us, then we can vote on it, right?
Yep. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Last item here that we have is commercial center property extension of the roadway. Dave, any updates from you on that front?
No.
All right. From a sense of timeline, we're waiting surveys back from DVG.
Tell me what commercial center property means.
This is the property up by Ozinga, Schilling.
I've got progress on that.
Okay.
I know that in my office, it's industrial park transaction acquisition. So I
Okay.
apologize. Yeah, no, I have survey data and time to get the appraisers to finish their on the last piece that we appraised about.
Okay, and we've given authority for that to occur already, so, okay.
We did
Awesome.
that last one.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
for next time, Sarah, can you modify that to industrial park?
Mhm.
That way we're all speaking the same language. I get the importance of it. All right, anything else from the commission?
I would like to thank our two young special guests who wore their masks for an hour and 15 minutes. And I couldn't hear you because of the mask. Olivia, which is my grandbaby's name. And what was your name again, honey?
Avian?
Aviana. Okay, thank you for sitting so patiently and listening to us grown-ups talk about stuff.
It's boring stuff, too.
Boring stuff.
Yes,
Not
very
at all.
boring. If you have any ideas for stuff in town, just write us a letter, all
Yes,
right?
we are trying to make your future better, promise.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Oh, hold on, we have a member of the public. Yes, Mr. Lindenmulder.
My first one. I don't even know if that's not a term, if I gotta come back, but the one building. Is there a way to get a small amount so I can at least paint it and do some doors and windows? Or does that come back? next month?
Submit an application on
Just those two
scope
items.
of the smaller project and then. I would say
Okay,
we
so
consider
then
it.
send it, okay, so
Yep.
I'm just thinking that maybe, because it's now that I know you can come back multiple times, like you can come back every other month if you want to, once you do one portion,
Up to the limit, yeah.
up to the limit, yeah, so then that makes more sense. Okay.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
All right, hearing none, we are adjourned. Let's take a 2-minute recess, and then we'll collaborate with the executive committee or the town council.